For today's presentation, I will be talking about Friedrich Schiller. I will be discussing his early life, his first play Die Rab, his literary works, his career as a professor and writer, his views on Immanuel Kant, his contributions to Symphony No. 9 as he wrote Ode to Joy, and how Ode to Joy was adapted as the official anthem in Europe. Schiller was born on November 10th, 1759, in Marburg-Württemberg, the Holy Roman Empire, which is now Baden-Württemberg, Germany. He was the only son of a military doctor, Johann Gasper, and his mother, Elizabeth Dorothy Cudwis. Schiller was recruited by Duke Karl Eugen to attend the military academy Karlsruhe by force. In 1772, he enrolled in the military academy and endured it for 8 years studying medicine. At age 21, he had left Stuttgart to take the position as an assistant medical officer in the local regiment. In 1780, he became an army doctor. Schiller's early experience with Duke Eugen hardened his Republic feelings and his opposition to aristocracy that would find its way into his future work. Schiller's first play, Die Rab. Schiller's first play, Die Rab, The Robbers, occurred on January 13, 1789, in the city of Mannheim. The play followed Karl Moor, who was a brilliant and ambitious son of a nobleman. Karl's brother Franz warns the father that Karl is vigilant and cannot be trusted. As a result of this, the father disowned Karl. Due to this outcome, Karl became an anarchist, leading thieves rampaging the courtyard. Karl realizes that anarchy is not acceptable and violence is not an alternative to society. The play ends with Karl submitting himself to the laws that he overthrew. Die Rab has been interpreted as a tragedy of social injustice and how a man of intelligence was driven out to commit a violence by an undeserved society. The play brought Schiller fame, and radical intellectuals marked this play as a major change in German theater as it addressed issues of social justice directly. Members of the upper class and conservatives, including Duke Eugen, were appalled by the revolutionaries' undertones. Due to this, Duke Eugen ordered Schiller to be arrested and forbidden to write any more plays. Schiller had fled to Mannheim, hoping that Baron von Dalberg will protect him. Dalberg was under pressure by other members of the aristocracy and did not want to cause an incident, so he ignored Schiller's request. Schiller's continued work. Schiller lived in poverty but continued to write poems and plays. The ones he wrote were Der Vertrag des Fiskals Zugune and Kabbalah Udlebe Keb und Love. The latter was considered one of Schiller's finest romances. Schiller was appointed as a playwright for Mannheim Theater, but a year later he revoked Dalberg's offer. Schiller had moved to Leipzig, where he would begin to work on his poetic drama, Don Carlos, about King Philip II of Spain and his son Don Carlos. Don Carlos had marked a change in Schiller's writing in addition to German literature as a whole. Critics had agreed that Schiller sounded the depths and complexities of character that he would use later. Schiller wrote plays and literary works that had composed dozens of poems, and wrote 2 major histories, one of which was the Dutch rebellion against the Spanish in addition to the 30 Years' War. As his popularity increased, he was appointed a professor of history at University of Jena, where he would lecture on aesthetics and history. His first play, Die Rab, The Robbers, became so influential that the new French Republic made Schiller an honorary citizen in 1792. His eagerness for the French Revolution turned into horror. His political disillusionment had been coupled with the vital illness and crisis of his self-confidence in his playwriting. This crisis had motivated him to bring his full attention to philosophy for the hope to recover his health through quiet examination and gaining philosophical insights in order to recognize his artistic talents. The small pension that the Duke of Sachsen-Weimar provided had made Schiller's temporary from his academic and theater life financially possible. Schiller was inspired by Kant's description of human freedom. In 1793, he wrote a letter to his friend Christian Gottfried Korner regarding Kant. It is certain that no mortal has spoken a greater word than this Kantian word. Determine yourself from within yourself. Schiller was dissatisfied with two of Kant's claims. The first one being there can be no objective principle of beauty, and the second one, the aesthetic experience only refers to the pleasure felt by the object. In the letters to Korner, he arranged to correct Kantian claims and placing aesthetic on a more secure, critical, independent foundation. Schiller proposed to discover the objective principle of beauty by following Kant's procedure of transcendental procedure, asking what our ability to perceive the beauty of what it reveals about our mental faculties. Schiller concludes that humans must possess two forms of reason, theoretical and practical. He also points out that theoretical reason connects representation with representation to gain knowledge. After finding financial stability, Schiller wrote one of the most widely well-known works in commemoration of Korner's generosity titled In die Fried alte Joy. In die Fried alte Joy would be transformed into music in the Ninth Symphony by Ludwig van Beethoven. When Beethoven incorporated Schiller's poem Ode to Joy into his Ninth Symphony, this was a radical call for freedom, equality, and brotherhood. Ode to Joy was written in fall 1785 by Schiller in Dresden during his stay with his friend Christian Gottfried Korner. Korner set Ode to Joy to music and sent it to the publisher Thalia Georgium Guschen. Schiller had wrote this about the transforming of his Ode to Joy poem into music. The poem beautifully set to music by Korner. What do you think about the idea of printing the music as well? It only takes half a page. And here's a few images of Beethoven on the right, and on the left there's Schiller and Beethoven, and this is a quote by Beethoven concluding the performance of his Ninth Symphony. The audience broke out in tumultuous applause. Oblivious to everything around him, Beethoven continued to beat time after the music had stopped. His friends on stage had to motion him to stop. They then turned him gently around so that he could at least see the ovation he had earned. Ode to Joy was adopted by the Council of Europe in 1972 as its anthem. In 1985, it became the official anthem of the European Community. Ode to Joy represented the triumph of the universal brotherhood against desperation and war. Beethoven's Symphony No. 9 was first performed in Vienna in 1824. In 2003, Ode to Joy, together with Symphony No. 9, became a part of the World Cultural Center.